Hey everybody, Reefgrrl here, and welcome to my channel. I thought it was time I gave you an update on my new build. We've been in our house for a couple of months now, and during that time, we have been very busy. When I say we, I mean my husband and I, and let me get this on the record. None of this would be possible without his help. Things started pretty slowly in November, picking up bits and pieces here and there. I've documented everything as it happened, and now things are starting to move fast. Because I knew I would have the space, I decided to have a basement sump. For this, we got Rubbermaid stock tanks because they're the right kind of plastic. We got 2 100 gallons and 1 150 gallon.
Okay, so we're here at the car wash, and we just picked up the stock tanks. Now we're going to clean them because you can see there's dirt. This is the easiest way.
This is my husband's idea, and I thought it was brilliant. For $3, we got all 3 stock tanks cleaned up in a way that we never would have been able to do at home. And here's a tip. If you decide to do this, be sure to aim the first 5 or 6 seconds of the spray away from the stock tanks to purge any soap that might have been left over from the previous user. The next pieces that arrived were for the overflow. Well, one of these was going to be for the overflow, and I got some help from the viewers of a Saturday night live stream to decide to go with the green one. Fun times getting them downstairs into the basement. We had done some measuring because there was a tiny bit of anxiety when it came to fitting these things through the door.
Oh boy, these things are big. Ooh. Trash can overflow. Cat's coming to check it out.
The next thing that arrived was the first part of the aquarium heating system. My husband spent a lot of time looking at what all kinds of other people did who had basement sumps, and ultimately we decided the best thing to use to support the stock tanks would be cement blocks. So he took a couple of trips back and forth to Rona and brought 40 cement blocks home of 2 different sizes. We tried a bunch of different orientations, heights, move things around, move things back.
So we had to take it all apart and start over because we weren't getting enough fall on the pipe to the second last tank.
We ended up with this first version of what we thought might work.
So here is how we've set up the stock tanks. Here's how the flow will happen. There will be pipes that come down from up there from the tank. It's going to be 2 overflows and an emergency. They'll go into the trash can overflow. I'll have filter floss in there, and the water will exit the trash can some way, we haven't quite decided how yet, into this shallow 50. Then there's going to be a bulkhead here, and the water is going to exit here and go down there and be directed towards the back. This is a 150. And you can see that the 50 kind of covers the end of it. So we're going to direct the outflow from the 50 to the back there so that I can have a couple power heads to push it forward this way. This area is where I'm going to move my reef temporarily until the tank is here. So this 100 is going to be receiving overflow from there. The plumbing for this is going to come out the side of the 150. We'll have 2 bulkheads, one above the other. The lower bulkhead is going to come out here around the wood and go over the top rim into this 100. The red thing is there temporarily. The second bulkhead, which will be above the first bulkhead, is going to be an emergency. So that if there's ever a problem here and it backs up and the water starts to rise and it has nowhere to go, it'll go down the emergency and still continue and go straight into there. When we get over here, there will be a T coming over to this container, which is the final 100. And the T is so that we'll be able to shut off flow to there and divert flow to here. So the proper valving and everything is going to be there. We haven't quite finalized the plumbing yet. Then the bulkhead from this one is going to come out this side and come out and along and over the top and into the final 100. This is effectively the return chamber, and the water level in here will only be about halfway up the sides of the tank, so that when the pumps are shut off, all of that water to whatever level will settle down into here, and there'll be lots of space for it. We have to do the math and figure out what that is. When the tank is running, we will have pipes coming out here for the 2 return pumps. They're going to be Deltec eFlow 12s. So there'll be 2 bulkheads coming out, running over, each one separately plumbed, to the 2 return pumps, which will be sat in this area somewhere. Really readily accessible for maintenance. And then we'll have spa flex lines running up and through the floor again. So that's what we're planning for the tank. In the meantime, I have to move my reef in here. And so that means we have to do a couple things a little differently. The flow pattern is going to be the same. The main difference is that when the water comes out of the 150 and over this edge, I'm going to direct it into this red container. It's an HDPE plastic, and I'm going to put egg crate on this little ledge and put filter floss on it. The reason for that is that under normal circumstances, when the tank is running, the water will go in the trash can from the tank and be filtered there. However, with a temporary setup, the return pump is going to be in this container, and the water is going to get pumped up through a flexible hose and go into the trash can. But without putting some sort of filtration before it gets into this container, the water that gets pumped through is going to be dirty as it goes through the return pump. So the thought was that I would filter the water here, and then when it comes out of there through the side into this tank, then it can get pumped back up, and I won't be gunking up my pump because the water will be filtered in that position. Then once we have the tank going, the red thing will be pulled out. So that's what we've got planned. We've got 3.5 inches of cement block there, 7.5 plus 3.5 there to raise this one up. And I think we have 7.5 plus 7 under that one. Because what we were running into was, in order to put the flow from one vessel to the next over the rim instead of through the side, we needed enough difference in height to allow for that. Because the bulkheads aren't, of course, at the top, they're on the sides a little bit. I apologize if it's like super confusing the way I explained it.
This is the basic concept of what we're doing. A few changes were made at later stages to improve how we set up the plumbing. Next video will be about the water mixing station and about plumbing, plus a couple of other little things to make life easier. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the video, why not think about giving it a thumbs up? Stay safe, everybody.